ahead and take your seat if you would, please. And we're going to start with our council candidates, and each of the council candidates are going to have a 2-minute opening segment that they can talk about whatever they want, and then they will also be given 2 minutes at the close. And then we'll ask them questions as much as time allows. We hope to at least have 6 questions. So what we wanted to do is go in reverse order and alphabetically with the opening remarks, and then following that we'll have the alphabetical order for the closing remarks, and then we're kind of random on who gets to answer the questions so that we don't have routine of each person follow the same one time after time. So this is going to be a test for the council members because you get to pass the microphone back and forth. But going in reverse order for the opening remarks is, and I'll introduce you as we go along, is Council Candidate Hallie Jackman, and she will have 2 minutes, and then following Ms. Jackman, if you would give the microphone to incumbent council member Chris Higgins for his remarks. Ms. Council Member Higgins, if you would then provide the mic to Mr. Golubuski, and council candidate, following council candidate Mr. Jim Ferris, and following Mr. Ferris will be council candidate Kim Chittick, and following I forgot Shirley Dye. Yep. Let me express, Shirley Dye will have opening remarks, but they will be presented by Janet Williams. She did ask us to convey her apologies for not being able to be here, but she had a long-standing out-of-town trip planned that she, as much as she wanted to, she couldn't cancel. So Janet Williams will read an opening remarks for Shirley Dye, then followed by Kim Chittick, then Jeffrey All. And I want to express just a special thank you to all these people who have stood up and ready to serve our community. So look forward to hearing from them. And so turn the microphone over to Hallie Jackman.
How do I turn it on? Hi there. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Hallie Overman Jackman. I've been a resident of Payson for just about 21 years now. I've been very involved in the community. I'm past president of the Rotary Club. I'm past secretary of the Rotary Club. I'm presently the vice president of the Friends of Park and Rec. I'm the past secretary of the Community Kids. I was also the treasurer of the Community Kids when it first started in its first 5 years in our community. I have a blended family with my husband Chuck, who's here in the front row. We have a total of, I've got to get this right because I messed it up the other night. I have a total of 6 children living in Payson. I have 4 grandchildren who attend our public schools here. All of my children either have jobs here in Payson, and they're fortunate enough to do that, and 2 of them have businesses here in town. My husband and I are business owners here. We have been very involved in the community, and we love Payson. And I'm here tonight to ask you for the most precious thing you can give someone. I'm here to ask you for your vote. And I promise, with your vote, I will represent you and everyone in Payson. It's not just a special group of people that we have to represent. It's numerous people of all ages, starting at 18 in our school systems, getting out. We need jobs for these people. And the only way we can do it is with smart growth. Now, being that I have 25 seconds left, I do want to tell you that I am a past commissioner for the zoning committee for the town of Payson. I served on the Arizona board of directors for their planning community. I've been very involved, and I love this place. I'm glad that all of you could come out tonight, and thank you, and I hope you will vote for me. Thank you.
All right, Council Member Chris Higgins.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Higgins, and I'm the owner of Scoops Ice Cream and Espresso, and co-owner of KRIM 96.3 FM. I'm currently serving my first term on Payson Town Council, And let me go back. Also, my wife, I'm not going to be in trouble leaving my wife out. Thanks, Barb. But my wife, Maria, we have 8 children, 4 of which are grown and out of the house, and 4 that we homeschool. I've lived in Payson, or the Rim Country, for 20 years, and Payson for 15 years. And, I've heard it mentioned a few times tonight, it is time for a change to continue. Since 2006 and 2007, we've not seen as much positive growth and change as we've experienced this last year. And how can I make this statement? Well, the town's revenue is up above the 2006-2007 totals for the first time ever. This is minus the revenue that the 0.88 sales tax increase produced. There's more construction in Payson now than ever over the last 10 years. The town has been able to increase its reserves to over $1 million, and we haven't had substantial reserves in over 10 years. We've put money into a contingency fund that we haven't had before. We've been able to give town employees pay raises that were long overdue because of pay freeze. We're even able to create a full-time Firewise position starting January 1 and put money from the general fund towards road maintenance. These are just some of the examples of the positive change over the last 10 years. Our town's not perfect, has never been perfect, and will never be perfect, but I do love this town. And I want to see this change, this positive change, continue. So thank you for coming tonight, and thank you, everyone, for hosting this event.
Okay, next we have Mr. Dave Belobuski. And candidates, feel free to stand or sit at your location or come out in front. It's fine. The time is yours.
Hi, I'm Dave Belobuski, and first I'm going to address what the mayor said, what got me to run for council. First, I did want to be involved in Payson, and I have worked at the brush pits, volunteer, and I've done firewising here for 11 years. And I did get involved, and I went to one of the council meetings, and the mayor here, I said, do you think it's a reasonable request to let the people vote on the sales tax increase? And he said, well, Dave, what would you vote for? And I said, we're going to vote no. Chapman can't sell cars at 10%, 9.6%. So he said, then why would, if you're going to vote no, why would I allow you to vote? So that was my decision, the factor to make me run for council. The fact that they want to raise sales taxes here and not let us vote on it, and that's your money. Okay, what qualifies me to run is I am for the people. I will do what the people want to do, and I'm smart, and I'm full of common sense, which I don't feel the mayor and a lot of council right now have, short of a couple of them. I also believe that the mayor made a comment, I will not raise the sales tax without a vote. That was one of his promises. He broke that one and raised our sales tax. The second promise he made, that he will not run again, and I would like to help keep him to that promise and vote him out. And we are allowed to laugh, so go ahead and laugh. You're just not allowed to plow for me. So if I get on council, I'm big on Firewise, I'm gonna do what the people want in this town. And that's what you vote for and what you tell me you want. I'm not just gonna have my own special interests and run this town, thank you.
Next we have Mr. Jim Ferris, candidate for council.
I wonder if I stay back here if I'll start a trend here, but might be a little less clumsy to do that. But yeah, I am running for town. You can look at my education, my involvement in the past and everything on my information sheet that I handed out. But why I'm running for town council is I was involved early on with Transparent Payson, and we went out and we had to get a huge number of signatures to get these initiatives on the ballot. And I spent quite a few hours doing that, spoke to hundreds of people doing that. And I was always curious about what people were thinking, what their thoughts were, what their concerns were. And they were the same concerns that I had, the same frustrations. So, and that with some people that I respect that were encouraging me to run, I finally decided to run. And another thing that I observed going to town council meetings is I think we need town council members that are going to be proactive, the ones that are going to read the resolutions, the ordinances, and the contracts, and do their due diligence and reading through those and see how they are going to affect the town. But I believe that the things that I'm going to be looking at, what I'm going to look at is the facts, the historical evidence of a project, and also public safety and just the logic of it. You know, and two, the other thing I don't see that we do, and I think there's people in this community that have a lot of expertise that can help out in different. When I was in the park, I ran into someone that was a traffic engineer, and he was talking to me about the possible restriping of Main Street and what he felt about that. But we can get a lot more involvement and a lot more proactivity from our council members. Thank you.
All right, and next we have Janet Williams to represent Shirley Dye with her prepared remarks.
Thank you for allowing me, Janet Williams, to speak for council candidate Shirley Dye. Shirley is running for town council independently on her own credentials and not as a one-issue candidate. She believes she possesses the characteristics a council member should have: stewardship, attention to detail, and weighing pros and cons. She loves to brainstorm new and alternative ideas and will strive to hear all points of view to arrive at the most sensible solutions for Payson issues. She has had a variety of work experience in community service, which has prepared her to be appointed to serve on the Payson Transportation Advisory Board, elected to 2 terms to both the Payson Unified School District and Northern Gila County Sanitary District Boards, and she's also a member of the Payson Firewise Committee. As a 2008 graduate of the Payson Citizens Leadership Academy, she has a good grasp on how the town departments are run and the role of the mayor and council. Because of her board and work experience, she has a good grasp of budget issues, open meeting laws, studying and researching agenda items, overseeing contracts, and working with others. Over the years, she has been actively involved as a citizen, giving input on various town issues. She has brought speakers on issues and candidates into Payson to educate the community most every week since 2009. She has gained much knowledge over the years and knows where to research for an answer. Please pick up a campaign card that she has on the back table there, and also she has her sheet that discusses her opinions on the issues, on some of the issues. I will not be taking any questions for her, so you can read this for her stand on the issues, and this is her background. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, and thank you for representing Shirley Dye. And next we have Kim Chittick. Ms. Kim Chittick is a council candidate.
Thank you, Cliff. I have been coming to Payson for nearly 30 years. I've lived in Payson permanently and full-time for 24 years. My husband and I own a home here and are invested in Payson and the Rim Country. I believe in and support controlled growth. I want to see Payson be more than a pass-through to someplace else. If elected, I will work diligently for Payson to be able to attract and keep young families to our town to build their lives here. I am reasonable enough to recognize that many of us, our older generation people, yeah, we all are, will likely not be here 20, maybe even 10 years down the line. And I want to ensure that Payson is a place that those young families want to stay, build, and grow their lives and their businesses. The only way to ensure that is to provide amenities which will help to develop their families with activities to keep their bodies and their minds active and engaged, and businesses to keep them and their spending dollars in Payson. Controlled growth and managed development will keep us going in the right direction. Under the guidance of Town of Payson's Economic Development Director, Bobby Davis, who is the link between businesses and the town, the ombudsman. We are getting some nice new businesses. I think that he's doing a great job of reporting new businesses to town. I will also want to create and implement an emergency preparedness plan, which will encompass a Firewise plan a reliable and redundant high-speed internet plan, as well as a sensible and organized plan in the event of a major disaster. Road and street maintenance, multi-event center improvements, and a continuance of the Main Street project are also part of my long-range planning goals. Since everybody threw in their spouse, I'll say, without my husband supporting me in this, there's no way I can do this. So, thanks, babe. Thanks for letting me do this, although nobody lets me do anything.
Next, we have Mr. Jeffrey All, candidate for council.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey All. A little bit about me. Been in Arizona since 2001, here in Payson since 2005. Most of you may be familiar with me as the chairman of Transparent Payson. We are the group that placed 2 initiatives on the local ballot. A lot of people make the mistake that I am a one-issue person. Not at all. Not by a slight bit. That issue, however, does clearly demonstrate some larger issues associated with the town. Those issues include, how do we put that? Cronyism. That's a good word for it. No bid contracts, a closed process, a very non-transparent process. So we're up here. I had Mr. Fromlett speak on the propositions, but I do want to note one thing. There are 7 candidates up here for council. Of those 7 candidates, 3 of us support the propositions. We've worked hard to ensure your right to have your input into your town. Anybody that asks for your vote and says, hey, once I get your vote to get this position, I no longer need your input, I would think twice before that occurs. A lot of people say, why'd you run? Miss Underwood, thank you. You challenged me. She essentially said, if you want to make a difference, you should run for council. Challenge accepted. Again, a lot of people think that I'm anti-growth or anti-business. I'm not. It's curious to note that there are people that are up here that are saying, oh, we're pro-business and pro-growth. Yet they passed a sales tax increase, hobbling our local businesses. So again, it's curious to see what people do as opposed to what they actually say. So, it's going to be a fun evening, confident of that. Looking forward to all the questions. Thank you again for everybody for showing up.
Hold on to the microphone, Mr. Hall. And the first question for the council candidates, and we have 2 minutes to respond. And again, this will go in alphabetical order, so just write down the row if you can pass the microphone that way. It'll get a little more complicated later. So, the question that I have here, reading it the way it's written, is since the current 12-cent sales tax was passed as a general obligation bond and it cannot be repurposed, would you want to pass another tax? And if so, how much and for what purpose?
No, I would not want to pass another tax. Very disappointed in Mayor Swartwood. I voted for Mayor Swartwood. Why did I do that? Because he made 2 promises. 1 term. 2, won't raise taxes without a vote. Well, it didn't work out. So no, I would not be inclined to raise taxes at all. As a matter of fact, we would like to take a look at removing some of the taxes. Payson has a food tax, 3%. That is disproportionately impactful to retired people, people on fixed income, and low-income people. That needs to be addressed. I can't think of a more regressive tax than our food tax. So again, we need to, in some fashion, lower the taxes in Payson, make the community a bit more business-friendly, give our local retailers the assistance that they need so that they can compete with retailers out of the valley or online retailers to some extent. So the answer is no.
Okay, with regard to tax, I don't like taxes. I don't like paying them. But I love living in Payson. I like nice roads. I like a nice town hall to go to. As far as adding a sales tax, I would need more information before saying yes or no. However, I will say that one of the arguments against the sales tax right now is that Payson has the highest sales tax in Arizona, or one of the highest. I recently learned this afternoon that 14 other municipalities in Arizona have increased their sales tax in an effort to pay off the first responders retirement fund. Well, I don't know about you, but if I have to call 911 because I'm having a heart attack or I'm in an accident or my house is on fire, I want to make sure that that first responder that's coming to my house and administering CPR or trying to keep my house from burning down, that they're qualified and knowledgeable and they want to be there, and that they're being paid adequately, and that they know that their future is protected with their retirement fund. I wouldn't want to work a job that a town didn't respect the first responders. And that sales tax is what is supplementing their retirement fund. So that's all I can say. I truly believe, I don't like paying taxes. I like going on vacation. I like my jewelry. But taxes are a necessary evil in our community. If you don't pay taxes, you don't have programs. You don't have first responders. You don't have fire departments. You don't have fire trucks. You don't have so many other programs that our town relies on and needs desperately. So, as far as an additional tax, I'd want to know more about it before I say yes or no. And I'm kind of like that. I want my research done. So, that's my answer.
All right, Mr. Mike Ferris.
Yeah, the sales tax, that 1.2% that was brought up, that was part of a Project 203 bond that put it in a fire station and some equipment for us. And that's scheduled to sunset next July. And I don't think that can be repurposed for anything without a vote. And anyway, I wouldn't want it repurposed for anything. The 0.88% sales tax increase that was put on last year was called an emergency sales tax, an emergency, and it called an emergency, so you didn't get an opportunity to vote on it. And I believe those things are things that we need to be able to vote on. And that tax increase was substantially more than what was needed for those things that were described as an emergency. So, and then there was supposed to be a town hall meeting where we're going to discuss, we thought, the purpose of that sales tax and the amount. No, it was forced into being a wish list that everybody had for projects. But right now it was 19th. We were 19th out of 360 zip codes in sales tax. We're right up there, and half of those that were above us did not tax food items. So that puts us even higher. So, I think we need to look at the 0.88, see what was needed, and, look at what we can reduce, or maybe take off sales tax on food items for fixed income, lower income residents of Payson. And we need to look at our costs per our government per capita is substantially higher than many other communities, and that they'd like to find out why.
Next, Mr. Dave Golombuski.
Okay, yes, I pretty much agree with everything Jim said. The 0.12 sales tax, I would retire that, sunset that. The 0.88 sales tax that they raised without a vote of the people, I want to repeal that. I would like to repeal that sales tax, and if they needed to pay the pension fund, all they needed was like a 0.31, but they wanted extra money to spend, and they haven't told you where they're going to spend it. I repeal that 0.88. We're down back to 8.6 and competitive with the other cities like Flagstaff and Mesa and selling cars. Then, if we need a sales tax for anything that the people vote on and the people want, then the people will raise their own sales tax. I don't believe that this town council and mayor should have had the right to raise our sales tax without a vote. And you can laugh at that and say it's a republic form of government. They don't do it in Mesa. They surely don't. They're raising a 0.25% sales tax and they're putting it through a vote of the people. They don't raise the sales tax without a vote of the people. And I know they're a little bit bigger of a city, and we're a town, but I know what the people want here because I have talked to all the people. And the people want to know what's going on, where we're spending our sales tax. Give you an example, there's a small town near Atlanta, Georgia, it was on the internet, where they voted to raise the sales tax by the people. Then they also had another vote, what to spend that sales tax money on. And I don't believe they spent the sales tax money wisely here. I don't believe they spent it where they said they were going to spend it. And I think we could have came up with the $500,000 pension money we had to on our own. We could have found the hidden money in our budget. Thank you.
Councilmember Higgins?
Thank you. I'm a small business owner in the community. I did vote for a sales tax increase. That hasn't hobbled my business and hasn't hobbled the majority of other retail businesses in town, per the fact that sales tax revenue is up and significantly. If it did hobble the businesses to the extent as kind of put out today and for a while, then we would have seen a decrease in that sales tax increase. My business has been hobbled slightly, but it's not from sales tax. It's due to more businesses coming in, competitors, and just more places for people to spend their money. So that's one contributing factor to my business personally, and talking to other business owners. Some are up considerably, and there are some that are down a little bit, but on a whole, our community is up. The other thing that was just mentioned here recently as far as misappropriation of funds and the council kind of not spending it wisely. Arizona League of Cities, their report, and it has the kind of how many employees the town has compared to the population. We in Payson have an employee per every 100 residents. In, let's see, Coolidge, Coolidge, it's 1 per every 102 residents. Cottonwood, 1 per every 58 residents. Shola, 1 town employee per every 87 residents. Sedona, 1 per 81 residents. In Safford, 1 per 70 residents. Page, 1 per 87. So the list goes on. If people actually looked at the information and the data and the numbers that were out there, then the statements that we're inefficient, that we pay too much for our employees, and we're not running an efficient town, they could see they're not accurate and they're not the truth.
Ms. Holly Jackman?
Yes, I have to stand up. It's been a long time. First of all, I'd like to say, in regards to the sales tax, had I been on the council at the time, I probably would have put a sunset on it a little sooner, and I wouldn't have included pharmaceutical goods and food. Having said that, it was a necessity. We have got to take care of our police and firemen. How many people do you think are going to come up here and work if they find out we don't want to take care of their retirement? So it was a necessary thing to do. Now, in regards to the tax, one of my children has a retail store here in town, and I can tell you for a fact they're very expensive items that go out of there, and the tax is considerable on them. I have yet to hear anybody complain since before Christmas. I haven't seen any great shift in their sales. So I don't think as minute as that is, it makes a big difference to the town, and it makes a little difference to everyone else. Again, I would have taken off food, I would have taken off pharmacy, but the taxes, we have to pay our people. We have to take care of our community. I know that some of the people who are running for candidacy have said, I'm going to raise all the firemen and policemen's salaries, and I'm going to cut your taxes. Well, I would like to see how that can be done. The first thing you have to do is have a strong tax base for your community so you can give the services that are needed. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, and I want to tell you, they passed the test famously. They passed that microphone right the way that it should. So now the next part of this is we're going to make it a little harder. In order to rotate so that different council members can speak first and different council members can speak last to each question, and trying to be fair and mix up the order a little bit. For the second question, we're going to ask Ms. Chittick to answer first, and then remember to pass the microphone to Holly Jackman, and then it goes from Holly Jackman to Jeff All, And then from Jeff Hall to Mike Ferris. You got this? All right. And then Dave Golobuski. And then last will be Chris Higgins. And so if you remember all that, everybody will get a gold star. So, and too bad that everybody doesn't get a vote, but that's our choice here tonight, right? So the question that we have is that regarding Firewise, and the question is, Flagstaff and Prescott have both adopted WUI building codes. Officials there say it had a minimal impact on costs and has not slowed development. Do you support adoption of a WUI building code that applies only to new construction? And WUI stands for Wildland Urban Interface. And I'll just save the candidates from explaining that on their time.
With regard to WUI on new construction, sure, absolutely. I do support Firewise guidelines, codes required on new construction. I can't support it on existing businesses, existing property, with regard to criminalization or penalization for not doing it. I will support it for new construction. I will not support forcing homeowners to do it. We have a lot of, someone mentioned earlier, there's a lot of white hair out there, including my husband's and mine. We probably couldn't get out there and Firewise our property, and we can afford to pay somebody else to do it. But there's a lot of people, I'm sure, in this room who can't afford and couldn't get out there and Firewise their own property. So I know that's not the question. The question was on new construction. In a nutshell, yes, I do absolutely support adopting the WUI code for new construction. That sums it up. Challenge.
Okay, if you can pass the mic to Hallie Jackman.
Okay, we passed the first test. I got the mic back. In regards to Firewise and WUI, you know, if you go on the internet and you read the program, it is very, very detailed. It covers a lot of things that aren't necessarily necessary. We already have codes on the book that take care of a lot of things. I know as our Rotary group in the years past have gone out and Firewise other people's property for them. And I guarantee you, if any of you go to the community development office and say you can't Firewise it, they'll find somebody to help you with that. Again, I would have to reread the WUI. I recommend that you guys do. It was my understanding from a young lady up at NAU that it was a 15% increase in building costs for the fireproof materials. So I'm going to have to research that once again. But, you know, we have a lot of stuff on the books. I don't know how many more laws you want. I know I seem kind of restricted sometimes when I go in and find out there are things I can't do. But in regards to that, I would have to recheck it. There's parts of it that are great. There are parts of it that are terribly, terribly restrictive.
Unfortunately, I had a lot of experience with this. Firsthand, I'll probably be going to Reading on Monday to go assist some of those people rebuild their homes. So I've had a lot of experience in dealing with a lot of these types of issues. The WUI code, I've never heard it called that, stems from the Bel Air fires of 1961. Now, if you grew up in Los Angeles, the fire department in Los Angeles put together a film called Design for Disaster. You can find it on YouTube. It's fascinating. As much as anything because of the voiceover on it. Really kind of a 70s vibe to it. But essentially, the new construction issue, it's very simple to incorporate these costs into a new construction. I'll even go one step further. Typically on building issues, if it is a life and safety issue, such as an electrical code upgrade, and the building sustains more than 50% damage, code upgrade is triggered. There's a couple of things that'll upgrade or trigger code upgrade coverage. So those are important things. The reality is, with respect to Payson, more than likely, a start in this community will start outside of our community. Probably the best thing we can do is work with the Forest Service, place as much pressure as we can on them to have some buffer zones. I follow wildfires, kind of an occupational hazard. Not too long ago, there was a stark picture out of fires in Colorado where the buffers by the fire service that were predetermined and in place save the communities. So the building code, yes, by all means, new construction, put it on relatively nominal cost, incorporate it as a code upgrade issue on certain things. Fire-wise, not so much, certainly not punitive. Mr. Ferris.
Mr. Ferris?
Thank you, Mr. Hall. The WUI code, I'm not for us adopting the full WUI code as it is. I volunteer with the Firewise Committee here in Payson. And, you know, I do believe that there are some things that we can do. There was, they came up with a tailor-made Firewise ordinance a year and a half ago or something in that neighborhood, and it was voted down. Everybody's so saying, oh yeah, this sounds good, this looks good, and then it was voted down. And I think it was a little disappointing that it was, because I believe that it could have been effective as respecting property owner rights, and at the same time, you know, protecting the natural beauty of Payson. Now, I do think that there could be, and there should be, some building fire codes for the new construction. There's some simple things that could be done. You don't want to build in this area with shingles. You know, there's some things you can do, screening on vents and attics, and different things that should be implemented that would help Payson and protecting it from fire. I do think that, you know, the code could be implemented in such a way that we could get charitable groups, we could get people together, community groups, to help some people that don't have the money and the resources to do what they may need to do on their property. And a lot of the remediation of the fire hazards is just getting that the ground brush and stuff together. All the ladder fields that are in along the properties, just get those removed, and it'd go a long way. And we need to keep the education process going.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Golobuski?
Yes, I'm also on the Firewise Committee, and I do support a Firewise ordinance that is supported by the people. I would support a WUI code if we got the builders together with the fire department and the Firewise Committee and as many people as want to be involved with it. And the builders are the ones that know how much this costs and what it's going to affect their building trade, and it's directly hurting them, and the fire department knows what causes a fire. So I think we get the people that are most educated on it together with us on it, and I think we can compromise, because I think everybody wants some small Firewise ordinance, and they would be for a small Firewise WUI code on new construction if they felt like it was shoved down their throat. You know, and the builders, I think, can compromise with the fire department, Firewise Committee, and the people. And the people have to get involved in that. They have to show up at the meetings if they want to be involved in it. And if it turns into be a big issue where we can't all get along and can't figure it out, then I try to put it to a small vote. And when you put something to a vote, they're saying it costs tons of money. If not, if you put it in with a primary or a general election ballot, it's not going to cost that much. I just believe in the people being involved in it, and nobody's mentioned the builders being involved, and that's their department, and of course the fire department, they're the ones that brought it up. But yes, we're all for a fire-safe community. I think that's the only thing that we're not going to fight about. Thank you.
Councilmember Higgins.
I believe the building portion of the Firewise Code was adopted or was kind of accepted or approved or voted on by the council, and that was discussed, the impact that it would not affect existing homes, and that on new construction there would be zero to minimal impact on the cost of new home construction. That was something that was discussed at the council meeting. Just the vegetative portion of that Firewise plan or code that was put forth to the council wasn't approved. But in this last year's budget, the position of a Firewise person dedicated, a manager, a director dedicated to Firewise, that was approved and will begin or commence on 1 January. And that position will be instrumental, obviously, in moving forward in Firewise. And at that point also, hopefully the town will dedicate some funds to help out and assist homeowners that aren't able to clear their property. And there'll be a program established that can go after grants that can be organized and well run by the town to really effectively Firewise the community.
Thanks so much. And now we're going to move on to question number 3. And again, the order of response will be first Mr. Ferris, followed, if you pass the microphone then, to Mr. Auld, then on to Mrs. Chittick, and then to Mr. Higgins, then to Mrs. Jackman, and then Mr. Galabuski. And I can help with that if it gets out of line somewhere along here. So the question is, what experience do you have in municipal budget development?
I was a commercial loan officer for a number of years, so I had to deal with budgets that different businesses had, and it was, I enjoyed that part of it. I'm a numbers person. I like doing the research, and just within different organizations that I've been involved with, I don't know how much more to add to that there, but if I am elected, or when I'm elected, I want to be with the budget committee. I want to work with that there. I want to see, as I mentioned, I think our cost of government in Payson per capita is very high compared to a lot of communities. So it'd be nice to kind of ferret that out, see what's going on, and work with the budget committee on that there. It's something that I enjoy doing. As a lender, you always project out. People wanted to do projects that come up and say, we'd like to, what do you think? We want to buy this additional plant here to increase our concrete production. Well, you take a look at it and go, well, okay, they want $80,000 to do this here. But you look at the payables and the receivables, and you might say, well, they need another $30,000 working capital to take care of those things that are going to come up just by the number of days that each of those categories have. So I enjoy working with that, and I look forward to working with the town and their budget. Thank you.
Mr. Auld?
All right. Previous experience with the municipal budget, none. Isn't that a golden thing? It's probably a good thing to keep people that aren't too familiar with that away from the checkbook, would be my guess on a long-term nature. As far as the current town spending, I know that they've recently discussed a $40,000 allocation to study salaries. Curious story. In 1987, I was 21 years old. The city of Seal Beach, I was an intern, and they said, we need a salary study. And I said, okay. And they didn't tell me what they were looking for. They just knew that they needed to get the rates higher. Now, the only feedback I got before it was adopted by the city council of Seal Beach was that I had a misspelled word. That was back in the time of Lotus 1, 2, 3, way before Excel. And so they said, you have a misspelled word, and then the council adopted it. The budget process is really no different. Municipal, private, any budget requires balancing. It requires good allocation of money, and it requires forethought and sight. So it's not unique to a municipal budget. It's unique to good governance. Good. I'm losing a word here, Jim. I don't know what it is. Solid foundation. Mr. Chairman, you're next.
Okay, you want to know my experience with municipal financing. You know what? I've never been involved with a town, a city, a county, with their finances. I did spend 14 years working 2 jobs as an accountant and an auditor. I worked the jobs concurrently. I worked 6 days a week, quite often 7 days a week. I audited car dealerships all over the Southwest. I was successful in closing down a couple of them because of corruption. I'm not proud of that because a lot of people lost jobs, but they should have been more honest. As far as municipal financing, you just gotta watch the money, pay attention to it. I love the dollars. I love watching it. I love counting it. It always comes out right in the end if you're doing it right. So I guess I'm just going to leave it at that. Because I don't have experience with municipal financing. But I do have experience with budgets. I've worked with several different nonprofit organizations handling their budgets. I've raised millions of dollars for nonprofits. I've also spent millions of dollars for nonprofits. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Higgins.
That's it.
Chris, Councilmember Higgins.
All right. This last year's budget was probably I was most involved. I wasn't on the budget committee, but Mayor Swarwood has done a great job involving all of the council members in just council activities and especially the budget. And it was great to see our CFO, Deb Barber, and the committee, the budget committee, put this budget together. And what impressed me the most out of it was how balanced it was. There were so many departments that received funding where capital improvements hadn't been given to some departments for years because of the economic downturn. And it was really great to see how much was done, despite things being said where money didn't go where it was supposed to go, and only the department heads and managers got raises and no one else did. The